This changes everything. The playoff picture for the Warriors took a wild turn after last night's loss to the Rockets, and the situation in the West is so crazy and confusing. I had to make this video to help clear it all up. So in today's video, I'll break down all the math and probabilities on where the Warriors end up in the playoff seeding, the key games around the NBA that matter the most for the Warriors this week, and exactly who you should be rooting for. So welcome to Warriors Digest. I'm Arthur Ballesteros, and hit that subscribe button to get daily Warriors content like this so you're in the know on all the latest in this insane season as it comes to its final week and what promises to be one of the wildest playoff races ever. So let's get into it right now. The Warriors are in the thick of this thing. There is a crazy battle going on, a four-way tie with teams locked at 32 losses apiece here. As you look at the standings here, the Warriors now in 6th place, just avoiding the play-in tournament thanks to the tiebreaker they hold over the Minnesota Timberwolves. But you see everybody, anything could change here from 3 through 8. The Warriors even have an outside shot at the 3 seed. Still, I know it sounds crazy. They still have a shot. I'm going to break down all the probabilities here. But before I do that, comment right now where you think the Warriors are going to end up. Are they going to hold on to this 6th seed? Are they going to move up? Or are they going to end up in the play-in tournament? It's all crazy. We're going to break all of this down here. So let's dive into this as we look at the Western Conference standings here. The Warriors positioned quite nicely. It's okay, 46 and 32 here, because everybody else is 46 and 32. The Clippers, Minnesota, Memphis, everybody. I mean, the Nuggets are the only ones sitting a half game out of that, and that's only because they've played one more game than the rest right now, so they only have 3 games remaining on the schedule. Everybody else has 4. But let's take a look at some of the teams we're battling for position here and see what their schedules look like and if there's a shot to get in here. So as we look at let's take the Lakers since they're in 3rd, and there still is an outside shot, however crazy it may seem, that the Warriors end up in the 3rd spot. So when you look at the Lakers schedule, mind you, they just played the Thunder. They beat the Thunder, but they're going to play them again tomorrow night in OKC. Going to be a tough matchup for them. Could potentially be a loss. There's also a big matchup against the Mavericks on a back-to-back. Anthony Davis is now back. That's going to be a huge showdown. Tons of eyes on it. I don't count the Mavericks out, even though they have Kyrie Irving, who's nursing a torn ACL for the rest of the season there. And then you've got a tough matchup against the Rockets as well for the Lakers here. Now, there is a probability that the Rockets will probably have nothing left to really play for at that point. They've got a 99% chance of locking up that number 2 seed, so you probably see them rest some of the starters there. So it may not bode well for us. We want to see the Lakers lose as much as possible, especially to these teams that are just out of the thick of it here with the Thunder and the Rockets. And then, hopefully if the Trailblazers can play spoilers here and get us another loss for the Lakers, that would be huge. But what about the Nuggets, who sit just above us, a half game? They are in that 4th spot there. 4th is really interesting because that's where you get home court advantage. The Nuggets, even though we just beat them, they've got that advantage there by a half game. Now, their remaining schedule, not as tough here. You've got the Kings, who are on the outside trying to fight for that playoff and play-in spot. You've got the Grizzlies, who could be tough there, but they're going to be fighting for everything here at the end because they're in a very similar situation to the Warriors, where they can't afford to lose a single game. And then they're going to finish the season with the Rockets, who again will probably be resting starters. That's going to be the last game of the season for both teams there. So again, if the Rockets have nothing really to play for at that point, they're probably going to be resting a lot of guys for the playoffs. So the Nuggets, I mean, you could foreseeably have them going 3-0 here. But what about the Clippers? The Clippers here, who we do not hold the tiebreaker over. This is going to be a really interesting week to watch for what the Clippers do. They have what should be a pretty easy matchup against the Spurs. Again, the Rockets here. Now, the Rockets game on Wednesday, hopefully you still see the Rockets playing a lot of the starters there. Then they've got a day off. Then they play at Sacramento. And then the mother of all matchups with the Warriors on Sunday. This will determine everything. And again, super important since the Clippers own that tiebreaker over the Warriors. This is just an absolute must win for the Warriors in that game. What about the Timberwolves? Don't count them out either. They have a pretty easy schedule here when you look at this. Yes, they're at the Bucks. They're on the road there. They've had some success against them. Yes, they're at the Grizzlies. That's, again, a team that's going to be fighting for everything they've got there. That's going to be an interesting matchup, but they've got a back-to-back. They're going to be against the Nets, which is, a terrible team, and then at the Jazz, one of the worst teams in the league there. So you could easily see the Wolves, they could be 2-2 in this stretch, 3-1. I mean, it's a pretty easy stretch for them here. But now, what about the Grizzlies? You've seen them come up a number of times here. They've got a game at the Hornets that should be an easy win for them tomorrow. Then you've got a game at home against the Timberwolves and the Nuggets, the Mavericks. They still have a pretty tough schedule, but only 2 of those games on the road there. Going to be really interesting to see what they do. Now, for the Warriors, here are their final 4 games. You need to go 4-0 for your best opportunity to not end up in the play-in and hopefully maybe even get into the 5th, maybe the 4th, maybe even an outside shot at the 3rd. I'm going to show you how they get to the 3rd seed. It's an infinitesimal percentage, but it is somewhat possible here. So at the Suns, looks like KD is going to be playing in that game tomorrow. You've got, the rivalry there, but still, this is a Suns team that is not playing well. This should be a win. Then you go to come back home to face the Spurs. We saw what happened when we played the Spurs last week. That was an easy win for us. And you've got a Blazers team who you can't totally discount. You saw that they gave the Warriors a little bit of trouble here a couple of weeks ago. But again, not a good team. And then the Clippers. It's just going to be huge. You could easily see the Warriors going 3-1 in this stretch. Hopefully, though, I mean, the mother of all things that we're all praying for right now is 4-0. So it's going to be really interesting to see. Now, what are the scenarios here? This is here. You can easily see in this table here that I put together. You can see the probabilities and how they decrease as the Warriors potentially lose games in these last 4 matchups here. So you see, obviously, best case scenario, you win the remaining 4 games here. You're going to actually have an even higher percentage chance. There's a 34% chance of getting into that 3 seed. But then you see, as you drop down, if you lose one, you're going to only have a 3% shot there. But then, the most likely is that 3-1 scenario. And you're looking at the most likely probability of ending up in the 5th seed, which would not be the end of the world at all. Stay 5, 6, maybe 4. You're in great shape. 4 would be a dream of getting to get that home court advantage there. So this is what I put together for you here, which is a little cheat sheet guide for some of the most important games that are coming up here over the next couple of days that you're going to be wanting to watch for. This is your rooting guide for who to root for and against here. So definitely rooting for the Thunder over the Lakers in tomorrow's matchup. Then we absolutely want to see the Rockets beat the Clippers, Kings over the Nuggets, and then you want the Bucks and the Grizzlies to both beat the Timberwolves. And we're also looking for the Mavericks over the Grizzlies, and of course the Warriors to win out. That is the major spot on the checklist of what we're watching for here. This is going to be an insane week. I think everybody who has watched and followed the NBA for years, nobody can really remember a time when the West was just so log jammed, 3 through 8, anything can happen here. It is going to be insane. Every game is of utmost importance here. So you're going to be wanting to stay locked in on everything that is going on. So make sure you subscribe to Warriors Digest. Tell me how you think the Western playoff bracket plays out, because I think that if the Warriors can just avoid the play-in, there is an absolute shot at them having a foreseeable path to getting to the Western Conference Finals, potentially the finals, and potentially even a championship. I'm running some numbers and math and probabilities on that right now, and I think I can make a strong case for how the Warriors can actually end up in the finals, especially if we end up in the 4th or 5th seed and end up playing Denver in the first round here and then get OKC in the second round. I do think that the Warriors' experience actually does have a lot of edge over OKC. I don't think that OKC is an unbeatable opponent here for the Warriors in this path here. I think that the Warriors can beat any of these teams in a 7-game series. They have the experience, they have the depth, they have the stars, and the numbers are starting to show it as well. And one of the things that got me really interested was the age of Oklahoma City and just how that doesn't necessarily paint a picture for how they can win a championship. They would have the youngest core and youngest overall roster ever to win an NBA championship. So I just think there's no experience there. So I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but I'm going to lay that out as the playoffs start to evolve here. But what a wild week. It has been so insane. So let's just keep hoping, praying for that 4-4, keep praying for that 4-0 stretch here to end the season so that the Warriors can get the best spot possible. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Peace.